This morning we're going to talk about psychological and social influences. So as you can see from the graph, if the human is standing in the center of these spaces, we can see working outward we have intimate space, personal space, social space, and public space. We're going to talk about each one of these. In our comfort zone, physical contact is about 6 to 18 inches away. That is when we have family and spouses and those that we love. We don't mind them getting that close to us. Strangers, co-workers, it becomes uncomfortable when they become that close to our personal being. So if we're forced into that crowded space, we have a tendency to avoid eye contact. It minimizes that physical contact visually. And as you can see from the illustration here, 3 people on the elevator. If I don't see you, you don't see me, we're not in each other's space. If you ever want to test that theory, the next time you're on an elevator, look at somebody directly. I will bet they will get off on the next floor, whether that is their floor or not, because it's an uncomfortable situation. You are invading their space. So personal distances is about 18 inches to 4 feet away. And if given the choice, people will maintain this distance because that's what's comfortable. Social distance is about 4 to 12 feet from your person. This is a distance of impersonal, like in business or work or interaction between strangers. Public settings, grocery stores, libraries, all those places that people gather and use. At about 10 feet, it's not considered rude to ignore others. Public spaces, 12 feet and more. That's the distance that you could feel like you can escape danger from another person. We have that lead, if you will. And we're talking about behavioral settings. This is a particular place with defined boundaries when in objects that a standard pattern occurs, like a boardroom or executive office. These are how we set up the furnishings. We expect to find desks and chairs where we have to face each other, we have to collaborate. We expect to see someone giving presentations. So certain procedures occur in the same fashion each time we use this facility. We're talking about territorial. That's something that we refer to when we lay claim to spaces that we occupy. We need to be aware of the personal distances and the needs when we're designing, because when you force people closer together than what the situation warrants, it's uneasy. People get uncomfortable, and we have a tendency to lay claim to our spaces. So don't force people closer by your design than what the situation absolutely warrants, because we tend to personalize. At home, people decorate their spaces however they want, and we have a plethora of that. If you have an office space or a cube, people have a tendency to decorate and personalize that. They bring family photos, they bring memorabilia, they decorate their spaces to create it their own. We have seen people literally create shrines to their loved one in their personal spaces. Even in public spaces, airport, we start to lay out our luggage and our coats to kind of stake out and claim our space. This is ours. Even if you come into the classroom and you sit at the desk, we claim our space by where we place our books and our coats and our purses. We've kind of claimed it that this space is mine, and it's recognized visually by others. So people also modify their behavior by adapting to some of the environments. They can either leave, they change their relationship with the space that they're occupying, or they try to change their surroundings. And sometimes even just the act of moving the chair so you can see the TV screen or talk to someone more easily, that's modifying and personalizing the space to adapt to them. We personalize our spaces in various ways. So as you can see, just from an office setting, Everyone's different. Everyone's going to be comfortable in a different situation. Now, you all recognize your own office. Group interactions. So the environment can either facilitate or it can hinder the reactions of the people using it. So when you're seating arrangements, and this is important, one of the most common ways to facilitate group interaction is with the way that people are seated. So if given the chance and people will seat themselves, they will seat themselves accordingly, according to the relationship with the others around them. When you come into a room, especially like into a classroom situation, you have a tendency to go sit by the people you like. You have a tendency to sit away, further away, or distance yourself from those that you're not or familiar with or not as friendly with. Some will sit closer to the front of the classroom because they feel comfortable with their instructors. Others will distance themselves. So when given the opportunity, they will seat themselves according to the relationship with those around them. So understanding human behavior, that is an important factor in our design process. So as we've discussed before, round tables tend to foster cooperation and collaboration. They're equal among seating around the tables themselves. When given another situation, you will see an intimate position where people will seat closer to each other if given this rectangular table, where they're having conversation, intimate conversation, making collaboration, making plans. They are on friendly terms with each other. When you see people sitting directly across from each other, whether at the ends or on the sides, this really is a competition position. So we're competing for the bonus, we're competing for the grade, we're competing for whatever we're working on. And then we have an avoidance position to where we're looking directly at no one in front of us. You'll see this a lot of times if given the situation where a good example is a picnic table. The only one left, there's one left and two people eating. Well, they'll decide to sit at the same table, but they won't sit in these positions because they may be strangers. So they'll share a table, but they're distancing their view from each other. So physical environment holds symbolisms for some people, a lot of people. An example would be the corner office has more status than the inner office, or one that just has an exterior wall. Office size also equates status. You know, the CEO of the company is going to have the big corner office where the common worker is going to have the smaller one, and the intern is going to be somewhere in the basement, chained away. So tables near the door at a restaurant are also considered high position status. I'm important. I want all of those who are coming in to eat at this establishment to know that I am here. We don't want the table in the back. So whatever area you're designing, one of the first things you need to investigate really is the implications of status in your programming stage. So beware of personal space, intimate space, personal space, social space, and status when you're doing design. Make people comfortable. Thank you.